When the truth is absent, what takes its place? When information is missing, how do you get the right answer? When the facts of a matter is known, is it then still left open to interpretation? I want to show you an example of this and hopefully expose the manipulative ways of the enemy. Let's go. So, you gotta think deeper. Let's talk, man. Let's talk 2 Chronicles 7:14. Humble yourself. So before we get off into this, let's check out our words for today. Our key words are heal, perception, interpretation, and fact. And the bonus word, Christ. Let's start with heal. Heal, to make healthy, whole, or sound. Restore to health, free from ailment. To bring to an end or conclusion, as conflicts between people or groups, usually with the strong implication of restoring former amity, settle, reconcile. To free from evil, cleanse. To restore or be restored to health. To restore or be restored to friendly relations, harmony, etc. Related words to heal: alleviate, rebuild, reconcile, settle. Let's go to perception. With perception, I defined it perceive, which is to become aware of, to know, or identify by means of the senses. To become aware of, to know, or identify by means of the senses. To recognize, discern, envision, or understand. Perception. Interpretation. I defined it, interpret. To give or provide the meaning of, explain, implicate, elucidate. To bring out the meaning of, fact. That which actually exists or is the case, reality or truth. Something known to exist or to have happened. A truth known by actual experience or observation. Something known to be true. An event or thing known to have happened or existed. Fact. And last but not least, Christ, which simply means the anointed one. I know a lot of people think of Christ as a last name, but it's really more of a title. It's an assignment. But let's get into this, y'all. I believe most of us are familiar with 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, allow me to read it to you real quick. It reads, "If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land." Now, I know people may feel like this is pretty straightforward and self-explanatory, and that there's no way that this simple little excerpt could be taken out of context, right? Well, have you ever heard the saying, perception is everything, or perception is reality? Well, check out how your perception shapes your understanding of this verse. Let's start with my people. If you ask who are his people, you might say the ooish people, the bluish people, right? Then you might say the Christians. Well, let's reason this out together. Some may say this verse was fulfilled already in 1948. And if you say so, I have to ask, was that God in 1948 or the governments of the nations? If you say God, then ask yourself this. Did God use the governments or the kingdoms of the world to free his people from Egypt? Or did God show his mighty power? And it's written that there will be a day that we will no longer reference God as the God that rescued his people from Egypt, but the God that gathered his scattered children from all over the world and placed them back into their land. And right now, we still talk about what God did in Egypt. Strike one. If you say Christians are his people because of Christ, then ask this question. Is Christ the Father's name? He came in the Father's name. When you talk about this, you'll start to see that you're going to be talking in circles, or at least going around in circles. Christ simply means the anointed one, or the anointed. It's not a last name. It's a title, a function. He had a job to do. So being called a Christian is not being called by his name. That's strike two. So who then would be called by his name? To find that, let's see who his people are by using the Bible. Let's look at Abraham, and let's use our natural sense as we read through these verses. We'll check out Genesis chapter 13, verse 1. And it reads, "And Abraham went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south." Now, if you come out of Egypt and head south, where are you going? You will encounter people, even some texts, that say Abraham went north or to the Negev. But remember key facts, and no one will be able to deceive you ever again. We are looking for his people. There's prophecy, and then there's life. True prophecy will always have a real life counterpart. We're looking at a full picture, and things have to line up from beginning to end. There are parts in prophecy that only fit a certain people when you look for it in real life. In the book of Deuteronomy, we see in the 28th chapter the actual agreement that Moses and the children of Israel went into with God. So this is a binding contract between two parties, no one else. So it baffles me when I hear people say that everything was done away with. If that were true, then how were the slave trades possible? Which is what was prophesied to happen to Abraham's descendants if they broke the contract. And if I'm not mistaken, the Arab and the transatlantic slave trade happened, and it happened after the crucifixion. So if the covenant was done away with or nailed to the cross, then how did the world take people captive from Congo and Ndongo, two kingdoms in Africa in which the first documented slaves came from? Remember, coming out of Egypt and going south is traveling deeper into the continent. So his people would be where he would be. He was deeper in the continent of Africa. So his people came from Africa. That's where Abraham was settled. That's where the richness of the lands are, somewhere in Africa. So we can now investigate these people, the ones from Congo and Ndongo. And let's ask ourselves, what do some of these people call God? To understand this part, we must know that all Africans are not the same. It's a continent. So there are many different countries with different languages and ways of life. So if I were to say Africans were the people of God, that would be a blanket statement and not completely accurate. We narrow our search to Congo and Ndongo for historical purposes. We are looking for a match. It is known that there are several names that can refer to God in African dialect, but only in this region of the world will you find a people called by his name, and they are from the same richness that Abraham was given by the Most High. The difference is now these people have become scattered, enslaved, colonized, and placed into derision. These people and their land. These people are called Congolese, from the kingdom of Congo and Ndongo. And they call him a Congo. They also have lands like Mozambique, and another name that they call God is Tata Nzambi. So far, this fits better than the Bluish people and the Christians. You have a God named Congo, and his people are also Congo. And they happen to be in an area where there's a lot of richness in the land, while the people, and actually the country itself, is called poor. Sounds like derision to me. A people called by his name, with matching prophetic life experiences. These people have been scattered, taken into captivity. There's even a remnant, and they were colonized and exiled. The land that they were to inherit has been parted and taken by the nations. This fulfills prophecy more accurately than the 1948ers or Christians. Now, when the scripture says, heal your land, it makes sense to me now. I must admit, early in my awakening, I thought that this verse meant that the land of Israel was my home, and when we go back, he will make the desert a lush, fertile oasis. But now I see what it really means. With seeing words like alleviate, fix, rebuild, reconcile, restore, settle, etc., this gives me more of an understanding of the situation. And in my heart, it settles the matter of who his people are and where the land is. Once you insert key facts, it cements some key characters in place, so that as you study the scriptures, you can start to see a clearer picture unfold. And you also see who's been trying to uphold and defend a lie. Africa is where you will find the Holy Land. And black people scattered all over the world are the holy people. Also, his remnant will be the Bantu, or the people that are still scattered around the world and scattered around the continent. You gotta think deeper.